John Cleese has laid into the cowardly and gutless BBC after an episode of Fawlty Towers was temporarily removed from a BBC-owned streaming platform. A 1975 episode titled The Germans was taken off UK TV's streaming service because it contains racial slurs. In it, the Major uses highly offensive language, and Cleese's Basil Fawlty declares "Don't mention the war." UK TV said it expected to reinstate the show with extra guidance in the coming days. Cleese wrote on Twitter, "The BBC is now run by a mixture of marketing people and petty bureaucrats." He added, "I would have hoped that someone at the BBC would understand that there are two ways of making fun of human behaviour. One is to attack it directly. The other is to have someone who is patently a figure of fun speak up on behalf of that behaviour." He went on to compare the situation with that of Alf Garnett, the racist character in sitcoms Till Death Us Do Part and In Sickness and in Health. "We laughed at Alf's reactionary views. Thus we discredited them, by laughing at him," Cleese wrote. Of course, there were people, very stupid people, who said, "Thank God someone is saying these things at last. We laughed at these people too. Now they're taking decisions about BBC comedy." He continued, "But it's not just stupidity. The BBC is now run by a mixture of marketing people and petty bureaucrats. It used to have a large sprinkling of people who'd actually made programs. Not anymore. So BBC decisions are made by persons whose main concern is not losing their jobs. That's why they're so cowardly and gutless and contemptible. I rest my audience expectations." UK TV also operates channels including Gold, and many of its channels and its digital player were taken over by the BBC's commercial arm BBC Studios last year. A BBC spokesman declined to comment. A UK TV statement said it would update the episode with guidance and contextual information in line with similar warnings on other classic comedy titles. "We will reinstate Fawlty Towers once that extra guidance has been added, which we expect will be in the coming days," it added. "We will continue to look at what content is on offer as we always have done. Netflix and iPlayer at odds over BBC comedies. Ant and Dis sorry for acting as people of colour. Little Britain pulled from iPlayer and Netflix. The Germans is still available to view on BritBox, which is part owned by the BBC, with the message saying it contains some offensive racial language of the time and upsetting scenes. It is also on Netflix, carrying a warning about language and discrimination." Journalist and broadcaster Karl Anka described the removal as a waste of time, noting many people would prefer it if UK TV and other companies simply committed to hiring black creatives instead. Report. In 2013, it was reported that Cleese agreed for the offending lines to be edited out when it was repeated on TV. "We are very proud of Fawlty Towers and its contribution to